Hi, I'm Dave Hegarty. This is my colleague Joaquin. We're part of the solution and engineering team. Most importantly, we are the people that work together here at R2I to help you build personalized experiences. Over the next few minutes, we'd like to just introduce ourselves. Specifically, what I bring to the table is a love for content and building content delivered experiences across all channels. I'll have Joaquin introduce himself, but I've worked with a variety of platforms on the content side, both .NET and Java-based. I've worked with open source. In all cases, without a personalization or testing tool, the content itself is uneducated. It is not intelligent and therefore can't be personalized. So I'd like for Joaquin to introduce himself because he brings the magic to the table when it talks about content delivery. Joaquin?
Yeah, so again, my name is Joaquin Viramontes. I am the Director of Personalization here at R2I. I've been doing this stuff for a while. I don't even want to say how many years because then I'll age myself too much. But I started with Adobe as a corporate trainer, just within the analytics tools, testing tools. So Adobe Analytics, which eventually became Adobe Analytics, and Adobe Target, and then working with all the different tools like AEM and Audience Manager. And so, yeah, I've kind of taken that career and taken to a point where, I consider myself an A/B testing personalization master.
In our careers, which as you stated is long, that brings to the table, quite honestly, a lot of experience. When you talked about the idea of testing and targeting, I think of sort of the evolution that I've observed of sort of static websites. We build this framework, we build a flat page. We may tag it, but analytics was something of like a magic science. We didn't really know what to do with it. In that case, we would do things like maybe change the banner or change sort of the header or the footer with the Adobe Target. How have you seen, before we get into the DMP world, how have you seen sort of the analytics and Adobe Target specifically blend, bringing value, right, to that content management, or for that matter, that experience maker?
Yeah, so you're right. So you would implement so it really started, well, if you're going way back, it really started with you had an idea or someone said, I like the color of this color better. And then you just did that, right? You just put the new color up there because that's what people said, right? And then when a tool like Adobe Target came along, now you're starting to get into, okay, I want to actually test something out. And so then those ideas just came into play. Someone would say, I like color red, and someone said, I like color yellow. And you're right, it stayed very basic. And then people would test it out and say, yay, yellow won. And then the whole office would change yellow, right? So that's kind of how it is. But as you started to, and you still do some of that to a point, right? It's not like you do everything on data, but because you have some learnings, there are things that you can put into the puzzle based on what you've known about the company. But now you add the analytics piece, right? And if you're using the Adobe products, you have the Adobe Analytics and Target connected via what they call A4T, which is just connecting the products. And now you can look at things that you already wanted to know about your customer, but just more from like a behavioral standpoint. And you can see that, the certain types, customer types, what they're looking at. And now you can start to personalize or talk to those people based on their behavior throughout the site, right? And instead of just relying on one product, so if you had Adobe Target implemented, sure, Adobe could collect that stuff for you and have some of that one product knows, but now you're pulling in all your analytics data, and now you can figure out to talk to more of what I guess you would call that one to few.
So it's an interesting dynamic, right? We build the websites, people would visit, we didn't understand really what was going on, we apply analytics, and then very quickly, the testing and targeting tools, specifically Adobe Target, allowed us to now understand that certain, quite honestly, even layouts didn't work with certain audiences. And now we're into the idea of, well, now analytics was telling us maybe we should segment or build a hybrid model where, say, location or device type. Now think again, maybe 10 years ago, before every single thing was, if you will, responsive, you had to actually build right to the device level. Then the DMP came in, as you articulated. Now we have true segmentation. How did testing and target, we build these learnings, but how did it actually really add value? For me, I struggle sometimes trying to explain it to people where without the testing of both content and people, we're still segments, but we have groups of people, you still don't have a true value, right? You're not speaking to them individualistically. You're still speaking above them about your brand.
Right.
Do you see Target? I feel like Target was very important in sort of becoming customer centric, if you will, not to overuse a term.
Yeah. And so that's the thing, right? This is where stuff gets really exciting right now, because now you aren't just saying, hey, you're part of this group. You're part of this group that's coming in from a certain city, or you're part of this group that visited a certain page on our site and now come back to the homepage and we want to talk to you, which is great things to do, right? Because those instantly will instantly increase conversion of what you're trying to do. But now you actually know who you're talking to. They're not just part of a group. You're talking to that person because you know that from your backend database, they purchased something, they viewed a certain page, and they filled out a survey if you're connecting those with via some sort of ID. And now you know I've come to your site, and you don't need to tell me, hey, check out this new brand stuff, this new brand that we have out. You know I already looked at that brand. You know I already bought something. And now you get to talk to me even more detailed. You get to say, hey, in the case, hey, Joaquin, I've got these 3 new things that I know you'll love. How is it going with the other stuff that you have from us? You know, a simple example.
So I think that's one of the strongest points we at R2I actually bring to the table, Joaquin, is when we speak to, if you think of Stephen Pfaff or Omar, you think of Kerry, you think of people who are leaders on the analytics and the content side of this organization. I'll be put in front of a customer and they'll talk about wanting to build a website. And immediately I'll say, well, how do you know the customer if you don't take that content that they consumed and embed it in something like email or an in-app message, or for that matter, even direct mail? So when they come back to the site or when they come back and engage you in person, that conversation is continued. And without Adobe Target, you can't do that, correct? Right? Like, how better to personalize an email than to understand a behavior on a website and have Adobe Target create a rule for you, right? Maybe you could speak to that now, because for me, this is the power or the magic sauce that you bring to our talk when we talk with prospects and customers, is how Joaquin and team enable Adobe Target in particular to deliver personalized, automated personal experiences on any channel. It's not just your website. So let's be real.
Yeah, so Adobe Target makes it easier. I will say that, because there'll be plenty of developers listening to us right now be like, I can do that. And they probably could, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and money. And so I think the point is, when you start bringing these, and you bring you bring email into it, right? So we could talk about Marketo or an email piece or any kind of email product out there, where now you're collecting information that you know about them. You're sending them an email, right? And what we standardly will do is, an email gets sent, someone will click on it, and you have a landing page on the site. And that's generally a lot of times where it ends. Now, but that's where the power comes in. No, not only can I personalize that landing page, and it can be based off of where you're coming in from. So maybe you see you use email example, maybe the same campaign is on some sort of display ad, it's on Facebook, it's on wherever. You can also take that landing page, use Target to personalize that message based on where you're coming in from, or whatever it might be, right? So then that happens. But now you can take it even further. Now you can say, now you've come in, we know that you clicked on the email, we know that you haven't completed some task on the site, and you start clicking around through the site. Well, now we can also keep that messaging with Target throughout. So don't forget why you came. They go on further to the site, don't forget why you came. You're reminding them why they were interested in the first place. Then they go find and complete whatever it was. Let's say, just an example, could be a form where they started it and then they complete it now. Now that information, Target is collected. Analytics knows that happened. Analytics is sending that back to Marketo. Marketo is saying, oh, now we know you completed, can send another email that then goes to another landing page. Then Target can talk to that person directly. And you can see you're continually enhancing your messaging, because it's just that round circle of going back and forth through the system, making sure that that person's with you, that you're part of then they know that you're part of them, and not just, trying to sell them something or trying to get them to read something.
So there's a combination there, right? There's a combination of, you will be sending messages that are anticipatory or predictable, if we will, right? The next best action. What does Joaquin want to do next based on he lives in this location? These are the things he purchases, or these are the things he reviews. And I bring that up because I think one of the things that's a great opportunity is the idea of structured content behind the four walls or in the walled garden. You make a purchase of some product, my guitar, my microphone, whatever it is here that's electronic, and I want to fix it or use it better. I need the manual, typically speaking.
Right.
Well, Adobe Target now has us showing relevant instruction manual information to people. And we now know that because we run tests, I presume, right? On, do guitarists need to find these things relevant to their guitar? How to string your guitar, right? Simple example. Could you speak to that? Because I think the value of getting a consumer to buy something and then keeping them clearly is more valuable than purely just hunting, right? So taking those learnings, right, from the prospect to the consumer base, maybe you could speak to that.
Yeah, I think kind of along the same lines. I mean, all of us can relate. You go to a website and it says buy this, and you go, I already own that. So, and I've already bought it from you. Why are you telling me this again? And that's instantaneous. You're going to exit the site. You're going to leave. Bounce rate's going to go up. They're going to see one page. That's my analytics site kind of coming out there. But then if you're showing them, as you said, that relative content where you're saying, hey, there is, using your example, hey, there is, these new ways that you configure your strings to actually get more, I don't know, a better, what's the word I'm looking for? It will perform better. And then then that might be something you're suggesting on that page, right? So is that what you were getting at?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it's this, Joaquin, I mean, just myself. I just bought a blender, right? Now, when you think of the blender, wouldn't it make sense if I went to that website, which I did, to find out, right, some information about it, that they had some relevant recommendation or product or a peripheral? It doesn't have to be transactional. I don't have to buy anything, to your point. You don't necessarily have to know that I bought that particular blender. You should be informed that I've made some purchase, but maybe there's other things I need, whatever it might be, right? Right. And I think that's very important. So that gets back to, how is Adobe Target personalizing people versus cookies? That is Adobe Target helping you target people versus segments. Right. And I think to have people-based marketing, Joaquin, at R2I, we speak a lot about the foundations. Right. And I'll bring Kerry from analytics and Stephen and Omar back from content. Unless we build this foundation and you begin to run tests at a customer aware level, you can't become customer centric or customer obsessed. So is that a struggle? Do people try to do too much too soon? And if so, how are you and how are we at R2I getting them to understand that start with basic tests, do for one thing at a time before you do everything at once?
Yeah. And it's a good question, because I think the struggle, right? And I think one of the biggest things I see people do is they get told, okay, we need to talk to this particular type of person this certain way and they have this customer idea or this persona that they're saying, this is who we need to talk to. And they go, okay, marching orders. And they put together a plan, and they spend 6 to 9 months on this plan and just focus on that. And so let's just say someone mentions it at the end of the year, it becomes their new priority for January, and then June to September, they're like, okay, great, we got it. We can finally talk to them. Right. But there's been 6 to 9 months where you could have been doing things that are quick wins, things that work, and still work on that bigger plan. But I think that's the biggest mistake. They get focused on that one thing that they want to do, and they forget to peel back and just look at, what can I do today and tomorrow and the next couple of months that I can actually have success, increase conversions, help the ROI you want to do the bigger things, but this is not a tomorrow process. You have to build out that A/B testing and personalization program.
Well, I think that was a perfect ending in many ways for people, which is, what is personalization and how do you enable yourself to personalize? One of the things maybe you should do is, call Joaquin or myself or someone here at R2I, talk about that conversion rate optimization story, right, and how you could take a creative, quite honestly, this is another nod to the analytics team and the great work they do. If you allow our experts like Kerry on the analytics team to come in and tag your content, then people like Steven can show you how it can be exposed to people like Joaquin and myself to now personalize any channel. So I think that was a great way to close it out, right? Do the little things like conversion rate optimization, get the quick wins, produce revenue, Joaquin, and then you can go back and say, okay, here's an example of how we ran a small test, it produced an output. Now let's get you on that larger journey. So with that, I appreciate it, man. Great chatting, and hope to do this with you soon.
All right, great. Thanks.